My mom's diagnosis broke my heart. She knocked on my front door and immediately broke into tears. I reached out and gave her a big hug. She was dressed as her normal cheery self with a brightly colored ruffled shirt and a pink skirt. Her face was more red than normal due to all of those tears in the last 24 hours. We sat together on the couch and she told me her diagnosis was three little letters that would change everything. Mom had just been diagnosed with ALS. Her journey had started about 5 months ago. Mom had gotten in the car to run a few errands and immediately came back into the house to tell my dad that there must be something wrong with the car. She wasn't able to turn the key in the ignition. My dad went out to investigate. The problem was not with the car. A few weeks later, my mom complained about not being able to click the top of a pen. She had her upbeat and bubbly personality and joked about how her thumb must be suffering from old age. We convinced her to see a doctor to be on the safe side and to get things checked out. She made an appointment with her GP, a doctor that she trusted and had been seeing ever since I was a child. The GP was not able to give her a diagnosis and referred her to a neurologist. See, my mom lived in central Illinois and there were not many neurologists to choose from. She went to see the one that she was able to get in to see the quickest. And after running a few tests, the neurologist suspected a pinched nerve. There was no treatment plan prescribed, and she was then referred to a hand specialist. That hand specialist suspected that she had carpal tunnel and recommended surgery. Mom was leaning towards getting that wrist surgery when she received a call from Mayo Clinic. The Mayo Clinic was urging her to come up for testing ASAP. See, without my mom's knowledge, her GP had suspected that my mom had ALS, and she was not confident diagnosing it, so she had put in a call to the Mayo Clinic. My mom and dad picked up the car, my mom and dad packed up the car, and they drove 6.5 hours to the Mayo Clinic for a week of testing. Throughout that week, we talked every day, and she was getting more and more frustrated that she was undergoing so many tests and still didn't have a diagnosis. On the evening of the fifth night, I got a call from my dad. He didn't want to share any of the details, but wanted to stop by my house on their way home. At that point, I knew something was wrong. There were two reasons. One, my house was not on their way home. Two, I could hear my mom crying in the background. I called back a few more times. There was no answer. My mind was racing at this point. It had to be the worst possible diagnosis. That night and the first part of the next day, I was inconsolable. I just knew it. My mom, my best friend, must have been diagnosed with a terminal brain tumor. When she showed up at my door and sat me down to tell me the diagnosis, you might be shocked by my response. When she told me she had ALS, I felt a sense of relief. I was so relieved that my worst fear of a brain tumor was not correct. I had heard about ALS, but I didn't really understand or know what it was. And then she explained to me what ALS was, and I realized that her diagnosis was actually worse than the brain tumor that I had feared. My mom was slowly going to become completely paralyzed until complications from the disease took her life. When I think about the fact that three doctors saw my mom and never once mentioned the possibility of ALS, it makes me wonder what might have happened if she had not gone to the Mayo Clinic and received the diagnosis. Would she have undergone needless surgery? Would she have suffered through multiple surgeries? Would she have suffered through multiple treatments and interventions and been repeatedly disappointed that none of them had helped? I share this story because I hope that someday when others receive an ALS diagnosis, they will feel hope instead of despair, or at the very least, they will be in the hands of those in the medical community who know how to best care for them. Thank you.